Since you are used to hear and used to practice mindfulness of breathing more and more, I would like to present you today 4 protective meditation objects. In Pali we call it Chaturarakha Bhavana, Chaturarakha Kammatthana. First is Buddhanussati, reflecting virtues of Buddha. Secondly, Mettanussati, loving kindness. Third, Marananussati, death awareness. Fourth, Asubhanussati, thinking of or analyzing impurities of the body. So, first I am going to tell you very little about these 4 protective meditation objects. Why we should practice about these 4 objects first? Because our mind is like a field. If we want to cultivate the field, first of all we must clean it and then protect it and then plow and set it to be cultivated. So when we are doing Buddhanussati, it's like cleaning our mind. We think about more and more virtues of the Buddha. Our mind will filled with the confident in Buddha and faith in Dhamma. And then we are full of pleasant thoughts and very pleasant feelings and lightness of the body and lightness of the mind. Then just for the moment, we are out of anger, out of desires and things, then we can reflect love and loving kindness to all the others. Secondly, we are doing Mettanussati, loving kindness. With these pleasant thoughts, we'll grow more and more. With a pleasant, light heart, we can reflect the loving kindness all over the world. While we are reflecting loving kindness, our mind filled with the courage to destroy all the evil thoughts and to cultivate pleasant thoughts. So Mettanussati is more like protection. The Buddha taught a group of monks to practice loving kindness as a protection when they are doing meditation in the forest. So we use this Mettanussati, also a protection. And then after the Mettanussati, we are going to do thinking about the death, because our life is uncertain, the death is certain. We came to this world carrying the death on our heads. So we are thinking about the death. We are able to destroy our bad feelings and evil thoughts and cultivate our virtues and pleasant thoughts. After then, with the awareness of death, we trying to analyze about our body, about the impurities of the body. Then we can concentrate our mind on this body, these 5 aggregates, and then we can realize the reality of this body and the life and the impermanency. So we are trying to set a field to cultivate more and more concentrate about our breathing, just for the realization of tranquility. So, excuse me, I am not fluent in these technique words in Dhamma, so maybe there are some weak points when I was explaining. So please excuse me for that. And let's try this Chaturarakha Kammatthana. Please make your posture comfortably and straighten your back and head. Then close your eyes. And now in order to be reflected all over my mind, may the loving kindness be reflected all over my head. May the loving kindness be reflected all over my heart. May the loving kindness be reflected all over my heart. May the loving kindness be reflected all over my body. May the loving kindness be reflected all over my body. May the loving kindness be reflected from head to feet. May the loving kindness be reflected from feet to head. May the loving kindness be reflected feet to head. May the loving kindness be reflected over the beads in my right side. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings in my left side. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings in front of me. May the loving kindness be reflected over behind me. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings above me. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings underneath me. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings around me. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings around me. May the loving kindness be reflected over all the beings around me. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be in good health. May all beings be in good health. May all beings be tranquil. May all beings be tranquil. May all beings be tranquil. As myself and all the beings were born carrying the death on our head. Life is uncertain, death is certain. Life is uncertain, death is certain. Just like a bubble of a water stream, life is uncertain, death is certain. Life is uncertain, death is certain. As a wick of a lighting lamp, the life is uncertain, death is certain. Life is uncertain, death is certain. Life is uncertain, death is certain. It will come to us any moment. Life is uncertain, death is certain. This body which ending up with the death as the same as a dead body, pouring impurities through all nine doors. Tears and eye mucus always comes from the eyes. Ears are full of our ear mucus, nose mucus coming from our nose. The mouth is always filled with saliva and phlegm. This whole body always sweating. How often we clean our body, mouth or nose, or eyes and ears, always it comes a bad smell out of them, just like a dead body. This body is full of impurities, not only mine, but all the others. So we should not be attached to a sack of impurities, should not be hated to a sack of impurities. All functions of this sack of impurities start with the breath. Without breathing, no function at all. So we feel our breathing just near the nostrils. Through nostrils, air comes in, we call breathing. Through nostrils, air goes out, we breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now just to concentrate your awareness of the breath. Please go ahead, continuing the awareness of mindfulness of breathing now. Just observing how breath comes in and how it is go out. How breathe in, breathe out. Just observing, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When you hear noises, just aware of it and observe the breath. When you feel uncomfortable, just aware of it and observe the breath. All the impressions, feelings, and thoughts that we had in this moment has changed. It is not there anymore. Every thought is impermanent. Because of the impermanency of thoughts, unsatisfactory condition, anything that impermanent and sorrowful, it is non-self, not to be attached, not to be hated. May this practice be the path to my liberation. May this practice be the path to my liberation. May this practice be the way to eradicate all the defilements. May my mind be tranquil. May my mind be tranquil. May all your minds be tranquil. May all the beings be tranquil. May all the beings be tranquil. May all the beings be happy. May all the beings be happy. May all the beings be happy. Thank you.
And our first speaker is Reverend Mother Mahaviro. Reverend Mother Mahaviro is the spiritual guide of Infinite Wisdom International, a non-profit organization dedicated to the promulgation and practice of Buddha's universal teachings. Reverend Mother Mahaviro's realization of the Dharma and the truth came spontaneously more than 18 years ago, following challenging life experiences and encounters with uncommon phenomena. But it was only in the early 90s that she began to share her insights with those who sought her advice and guidance on the path of purification and self-realization. For her, life has always been Dharma, and Dharma is always a part of life. And the Buddha is just your immaculate nature and the perfection of wisdom and compassion, merits and virtues. So I'd like to present Reverend Mother Mahaviro.
All the venerable bhikkhus and bhikkhunis and all our friends in the Dharma. Now today, I'm actually glad to be here and to share with you, I think, some of my personal experiences. Now we've heard a lot about the suffering of the nuns and all the women who are trying to become nuns. And we have also heard about the suffering of the people in Cambodia. Now, I'm very aware of all the sufferings of the nuns in the Theravada countries and also in other countries. And when I came to Cambodia this time, I was very aware of the suffering of the people. It is just everywhere. Wherever you go, you can see, you can feel the suffering of the people. And also, you can see the different levels of the suffering. Those at the top level, those at, we say, the human level, and there are other levels that maybe people do not see, but they exist as well. And we call that the other factor that contributes to life, but people do not see them. We have other dimensions that I will mention as we go along. Now I'm going to present to you Buddhism from a different perspective. Now most people, when they want to have something to do with Buddha Dharma, when they want to know about Dharma, they all have to go and seek and try to learn Dharma and try maybe to find places and temples and monasteries and teachers where they can get the Buddha Dharma. That is a normal way of people trying to find the teachings of the Buddha, to come into contact with Buddhism. But I find in my life, it is just the opposite for me. So I feel it is worthwhile to share with you. Now I have a paper here. I may go over the paper afterwards, but I feel it's good to share with you some experiences because they are life experiences and they are worth sharing. It may not be everybody's experience, but maybe some people somewhere may have the same experiences. But what I want to tell you is the wonderful Buddha Dharma and the power of Buddha Dharma, the power of Buddhism, the power of the Buddha's teaching, the power of the path, and the power of realization. And when you realize the truth, it's so powerful and it's beyond words, and it's very hard to describe and very hard to tell. And then you find that really truth is actually, it is beyond everything and it incorporates everything, and it's so wonderful in that respect. You can transcend everything and go beyond, and yet you can be a part of everything. There are so many wonderful aspects of the Buddha's teaching that I feel people don't often talk about or maybe It's not everybody's cup of tea or not what people are looking for. But anyway, sharing is wonderful because experience itself is so wonderful. And I want people to appreciate the Buddha's teaching everywhere because I find it is the real truth of life. And it gives real meaning to every aspect of life. And it gives you strength because it gives you the wisdom, the understanding, and you know. And because you know, because you understand, you can stand firm, and you can be sure, and you can be happy. No matter what happens in life, you find the real treasure is the truth. And the truth comes from the Buddha's teaching, and you're putting it into practice in your life, and you have that truth. And this is the truth of life. It's a universal truth. And this actually is the most precious gift I find in the universe. It has been said in the scriptures, the gift of truth excels all other gifts. I find it's true because it's just wonderful to have that gift. Life can go on, life can be painful, life can be miserable, or it can be happy, it can be anything. But if you have truth, you find you have everything. Whereas in life, you can have all the material things and be dissatisfied. And you feel that, well, you're still not happy, you're still not contented, what is missing? And many people search for the truth because something is missing from their life. Now, I've encountered people in different places. They're all looking, they're all searching. Sometimes they know what they're looking for, sometimes they don't know, but they just seek and look. Sometimes, if they are lucky, they find the true path, or they may enter into different types of paths. Some of them may go into it and be disappointed, and some may come out of it, or some may just get lost in it and they don't know how to come out of it. It's interesting to meet the different people who've been through different paths and different practices, and then ultimately to see what happens. Oh, that's quite interesting. Now, my title today is the universal nature. Universal actually covers everything, which is basically the Buddha's teaching. And this universal nature is actually the oneness nature. That means we have been able to bring everything into one. And the unity of all that exists and do not appear to exist, which will be the fusion or interpenetration of phenomena and noumena. The coming together, phenomenon and noumenon. It is the coming together of both, or you can say the mundane, which is the realms of existence, which is the samsara, and the supramundane, which is beyond samsara. Or we call it going beyond. So we have the fusion of both we call the mundane and the supramundane. And it can also mean samsara and nibbana. It's the fusion of both the coming together that we have universal nature. To bring everything into one and oneness. In your oneness is the completeness of your nature. In fact, it is the completion and the fulfillment of, I should say, the highest spiritual path possible in the lives of sentient beings everywhere. Now this path, I think, or this is seldom presented, so I feel it's worthwhile to share with you. Since we've heard about the bhikkhuni's problems and problems in the world, we will see to that. And it's also I think, our ambition to help all those who are suffering by presenting Buddha Dharma from a different angle and different perspective to make you understand better different aspects of Buddha Dharma at the different levels of understanding, different levels of realization. Now this has been made clear because people are at different levels of spiritual evolution, And because of this, they have different levels of seeing, different levels of understanding, and different levels of knowing. So you have your own views, your own opinion, how you see, how you feel, how you understand. That's your view, your understanding, your opinion, and people are entitled to their opinion because that's the way they see, that's how they understand, that's how they feel. But that kind of understanding is according to your mind, your 5 aggregates, how your aggregates arise, how you respond to the senses and the sense objects coming to your senses, how you see the world and how you respond according to your own understanding or the education, the study that you have in this lifetime, and the references that you have, the sense data you have accumulated in your alaya consciousness. All your life's experiences, they are all accumulated in your consciousness. And in your understanding, you draw from your alaya consciousness or store consciousness to understand the world you live in, to understand the experiences you go through in life. Now that is people's understanding. Another level of understanding is not in this manner. The other level of understanding comes from your heart's understanding, from your nature. I should say, is from the core of your being. It is the very essence of your nature. It is the core of your spirit. That's a different level of understanding. I use the term cosmic consciousness because it is universal, because it is cosmic, because it incorporates everything that ever exists, that will ever exist, or never even existed. It incorporates the totality of life, of existence, and of the universe. So that kind of understanding is entirely different. When you have that kind of understanding, you see differently, you feel differently, and perhaps you act differently. You don't flow with the flow, the stream of samsara anymore. You're not caught up with samsara and all the ways of samsara because you understand that. You know that's the way of samsara. It is the way of life, of activity, of the stream of life flowing. And if you can understand that you've gone beyond that, you can know, you can understand, you can flow with whatever you want to flow with nature as a whole, but you have your own internal force and strength that is beyond samsara. And because you have this, you can work from this level that is beyond samsara. You know the suffering, you feel the suffering, you are aware of the suffering, you can do your best to help, but you yourself are beyond that suffering. You do not fall into the pit because you got out of it. But you see the pit, you know the pit, you know all those who suffer. Okay, so just sharing with you. Now I have a time limit here, so I can't go very far with you. But to tell you that when you come to the universal nature, you are very balanced, you are very stable, you are very still, and you have a clear seeing that's impartial. It doesn't judge unnecessarily. And it sees clearly, it sees nature as nature is, phenomena as phenomena really are, and it will understand the truth. So this is seeing the true nature. It is beyond your thinking, it is beyond your emotion, it is beyond your mind, it is beyond whatever you can come up with in your mind. You do not construct in your mind, you do not try to analyze. You just use your heart nature. And in your heart nature, you see directly, clearly, and you see everything as they are, and you see the universe as it is, you see people as they are, you see all the dimensions of life everywhere, and you understand how they interrelate. Because we are humans, we live in the human world, and we only see human beings. But we must be aware, we live in a universe full of all kinds of beings. You can see the animals, they are not humans, yet they are part of life. And in the Buddhist scriptures, you have the different realms of existence. You have, in fact, the higher realms, in the heavenly realms. We have the human realms. We have we call the demons or asura realm. We also have the ghosts and spirits realm and the animal realm, and we also have the hell realm. Now, all these dimensions of life are not really apart from us. They are actually among us. If we don't see them, we don't see clearly. But if you can see them, how they act and interact in your life, in the world and universe, you have a deeper understanding of the causes of things happening in this world. We only look at the human level, and we see the causes at that level. But sometimes there are other forces that contribute to maybe happiness or suffering or problems in our present life. So having a universal nature and universal understanding, you will see things beyond the normal seeing of the normal human eyes. And in this way, you can see a lot of forces at work and how they condition our life and how we can work with the different dimensions with the universe so that we can actually go very far in all our endeavors, whether it is the worldly or whether it is spiritual. I won't have much time to go too far, just go over what I have written here. But I just want to know truth is everywhere, and if you practice according to the Buddha's way, you will realize truth whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you are. It doesn't matter what you wear or what you don't wear or what your color or whatever. The heart is the same everywhere, the spirit is the same everywhere, and the Buddha Dharma is actually in the heart of all sentient beings everywhere. Actually, I wanted to write about the universal nature, but because this is a women's conference and I did include something about women at the end. Is my time up?
It's okay.
Okay, just because of the shortage of time, I'll just go through what I have written about the universal nature. And going to the second paragraph, to truly understand ourselves and life, we need to understand the nature of life, the basics and fundamentals of life. It is beneficial to see that each unit of life is part of the whole existence, part of universal life, that life is universal, and everyone is a part of it, and everyone will have your place in it, and you all have your role to play in life. The recognition for everyone, whether you are male or female, because if you have the universal nature, you see all sentient beings as one. You don't see male or female. They are all just one life, they're just one being, and you know how to help where the areas you can see the imbalance, and you know how to help, you see, but there is no discrimination in your heart because you see all as one. This universal nature of phenomenal existence is basically what Buddha's teaching is all about. It's the truth of life, a universal truth. The universal scenario is ever changing. Change is the nature of life. Changes affect the lives of sentient beings everywhere, including human realm. It is my hope and wish that human beings will open up their eyes and see the reality, the truth of life. Once your heart understands, your nature will naturally know what to do. Your own heart's intrinsic wisdom is your true knowing and understanding. Without true wisdom, your thinking mind and dream states or delusion will lead you round and round in samsara's round or cycles of suffering. The picture of life can be compared to a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. Countless pieces are needed to fit together to form a complete picture. The few people actually see the complete picture, and some people are able to fit in some pieces here and there and have their own kind of understanding, and some people are completely at a loss and don't understand at all. That's where they suffer, and where suffering comes in when people don't understand at all. When you just live the normal life of eating and sleeping and making money and chasing material possessions and mundane power and status and indulgence in sensuality. You just live in this dream state of sensuality. Those who cultivate the spiritual path find the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle as they go along. They find the keys to open the Dharma doors. They have the means to unlock the secrets of life held in the very heart of their hearts, the very core of their being. Each human life is the expression of universal life, since life is universal. So every being, everyone can know the truth of life by penetrating and knowing the nature of their being. The nature of being is just the truth of life, it's a universal truth. We ourselves are the living truth. If we can find ourselves, our true nature or self-nature, we can find truth. Why is it so important to know the truth? We need to know the very fiber and fabric of our existence in order to have that essential knowing, that clear vision that's crucial to setting things right in the world or worlds to truly and properly benefit all beings and all people everywhere. We need to have the skillful means, the all-knowing true wisdom, so that we can help put people and all sentient beings on the proper path to true liberation or salvation. We need to have a heart as big and deep and expansive as limitless space, so that we can take in all sentient beings and offer service to benefit all. We have to be universal in our nature in order to have such capacity to be universally effective and worthy. We need to get to the very bottom of life's problems in order to find solutions. If we hit left and right, up and down without hitting the target, our shots may not be so effective. Lack the punch that is needed. If we don't hit the nail on the head, we still miss. It is easy to harp on a lot of things and still miss the crux of the matter. When you can see the larger picture, the universal scenario, you can see it where things connect and disconnect, how they connect and disconnect, and how they get obstructed, deviated, and all tangled up and messed up. And since you know things in the universe and the world get tangled up and become obstructive and destructive, you know how to untangle and straighten things out. You know how to be effective in helping sentient beings everywhere. You know how to bring love and light into their hearts, into their lives, and into their worlds.
Thank you, Reverend Mother. Our second speaker will be Elizabeth Zeal. She is a Buddhist practitioner of Zen living in Japan. And she is a friend of Paula Arai, who can't be with us today. And so she will be giving Paula's paper, Gratitude to Ananda, a Japanese nun's ritual.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've got this paper in your folders, so if you kindly have a look at that, there is a full transcript of the paper. The paper is fairly technical and it applies to one specific ritual. I will be only doing extracts from this paper, and for those who are very much interested in Japanese Buddhism and the significance of that ritual, you will have to relate to Paula directly, as I am not as technically, I don't have the technical knowledge. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Elizabeth Harris for helping me to compile this paper, and to Dr. Hiroko Kawanami for correcting my Japanese pronunciations. Dr. Kawanami also will be trying to translate the Japanese. We have 10-minute video presentation, which I will relate to later on. And finally, I want to thank Dr. Paula Arai for preparing this paper. I've never met Dr. Arai. We only corresponded through email and through the writing over a couple of years when I was still in Australia, getting myself ready to go to Japan. Anyway, the title of the article is A Case of Ritual Zen in Gratitude to Ananda. The history reveals Japanese Buddhism is filled with women's courageous acts and personal victories. In particular, documents during the last century testify to the fact that Soto Zen nuns were undaunted by the male-dominated sect administration. They have directed the course of their lives with understanding that Dogen supported women. Throughout the mode of ceremonial ritual, nuns have found a powerful way to express their emotional and political concerns. Focusing upon one particular specific ritual, the Annan Koshiki, Dr. Arai seeks a more informed insight into the nature of Zen rituals and how they foster community. An interesting note about the Zen community in general is that Koshiki, done only by nuns, is not included in the Zoku Sotoshu Zensho, a text that includes all major texts, regulations, and rituals of the Soto Zen sect. Nonetheless, Annan Koshiki is one of a numerous in a genre of ritual ceremony called Koshiki. Koshiki are performed on special occasions, and they are particularly designed for praising and offering gratitude to an important figure like Shakyamuni, Bodhidharma, Jizo Bosatsu, and Rakan. In these rituals, the clear indebtedness one owns to these figures for one's own practice is the impetus and core of this variety of the ceremony. Hence, this genre of ritual is especially interesting to explore in light of the generalization that Zen has been cast into the self-power dichotomy found in the analysis of Buddhist orientations. Soto nuns performed the Anan Koshki ceremony to thank Ananda for what they maintain was his act of wisdom in entreating Shakyamuni to allow women to enter the path of renunciation. What minimal historical information currently available gives us some clue to influences and circumstances that gave rise to this ritual today. The first sighting of this ceremony is mentioned by Pak Sien's note on having seen nuns in India do a ceremony to Ananda. More research is required to ferret out the details of the history of this ritual. Where the trails gets clear again is in Japan, in the form of koshki. A nun Kaiko had opened a temple after her husband died in a battle. Her articulated intention for doing so was to pray for her husband. However, many widows from the war gathered at her temple. It is likely that the Anand Koshki was compiled for the nuns at this temple and they performed the ritual there. In July 1829, Kankoni Owari no Kuni copied the Anand Koshki text from Kozanji. She recreated the ceremony and asked for permission to use it. Kosen, the 28th generation head of a Nagoya temple, wrote a Simon. Simon is a kind of speech or explanation, very formal. A wood block carving was made and the ritual text was passed around. Here Dr. Arai suggests that the time of revitalization of this ritual in Japan was appropriate. Kanakoni was Mizuno Jorin's teacher. Mizuno Jorin was the main founder of what is now Aichi Senmon Nisodo in Nagoya, Japan. And this is my personal note, that's what I'm sitting my zazen if I can afford tickets from Tokyo to Nagoya and back. This relationship of events and people strongly suggests that doing a ritual that acknowledges the legitimacy and wonder of being Buddhist monastic women helped cultivate a community of women who were not dissuaded by the male-dominated institutional attempt to treat nuns as though they were inferior to nuns. In a historical analysis of Soto Zen nuns, the revitalization of the Anan Koshki can be seen as an act that started the wave that led to Soto nuns fighting for and, by 1960s, winning equal regulations in the institutionalized records of the Soto Zen administrations. The Anan Koshki power lies in its affirmation of nuns. Doing the ritual makes nun feel, isn't it great to be a nun? The legitimation for their life lies no less than in the mouth of the Buddha and one of his closest disciples. The ritual ends with the declaration that all women can attain enlightenment. From this vantage point, the erroneous way of male-dominated institutions are glaring, yet eminently surmountable. Throughout the Anan Koshki, the nuns are authorized to demand Buddhist truth to be practiced over narrow-mindedness. Koshki are ritualized communal reification of individuals. They are ritualized practice of gratitude. The act of jointly praising and offering gratitude to Ananda makes the nuns a distinct group. First, it identifies the nuns to themselves. There are women in a few millennia-long line of women committed to fully living their lives according to the Buddha's teaching. This also informs laity in attendance who the monastic women in their neighborhoods are. Meanwhile, this teaches people, both lay and monastic, what being an exemplary Buddhist entails. In this way, the Anan Koshki contributes to establishing the meaning and content of being a Zen Buddhist. The heavy influence of Bombay and the dramatic method of carrying a Bombay text illustrates the connection Zen has with esoteric Buddhism. And that would be what I believe the extract which we are going to watch on the video. When the text is carried, it's kind of thrown a little bit in the earth and dramatically dropped down and then given to the chanter. The values that are manifested are included in the ceremony. The values that are manifested and inculcated in the ceremony include respect, gratitude, remembrance, compassion, giving merit to others, that words are powerful, and that monastic life is quite normative. Throughout this ritual and numerous other activities, the Soto nun practice body-to-body, not mind-to-mind transmission. In short, the ritual explicitly tells us that women's bodies are free from 5 limitations, and that women are capable of attaining enlightenment. Even though just examining the Anand Koshki, it becomes apparent that the power of Zen is not in self, but in community. The whole Koshki is still performed at Aichi Zen Ron Misodo. They only perform in 6 to 8 years. A ceremony is called the Anantan, is done at the end of the Koshki. It is much shorter in length and is performed on the 7th day of a month at the nuns' monastery. Let me please describe the ritual itself very briefly. The ritual starts with ringing of the bells that indicates the gratitude to Ananda is beginning. On the altar, the image of Ananda is displayed, candles, flowers, and incense offerings are made. In the next step, Gata is chanted 3 times when the nuns walk around the worshiping hall. One nun sprinkles pure water, another one first one carries the incense burner, another springs the water, and the third one scatters the lotus blossom petals. The next step is chanting in Sanskrit of the 4 wisdoms. The next step, the cymbals are played in non-melodic pattern. It's very unusual. Offerings of incense, tea, rice, cakes, prostration, and bows are made to Ananda. Simon, which is a talk. The traditional offerings of incense, tea, rice, cakes, prostration, and bows to Ananda are made. The Simon includes Simon in Japanese, if you know a little bit, it's very, very unusual language because it never ever says anything straight. It's the beauty of Japanese language. It lies in not saying anything straight, really. It's very ornamental, very eloquent language. But the major leader of the ceremony explains the purpose of that ceremony. Why does it take place? However, then the meaning of that ceremony has to be clear to anyone and everyone, and the lay people are sitting around. And now we are coming to Bombay, that little video clip. The Sanskrit chanting heightens the power of the ritual. It is a ritual element borrowed from the esoteric Tendai sect. The notion for the chant indicates speeches like points on a compass. It is not readily recognizable script which increases the chant's sense of efficacy. Sorry, my English is giving up. It is a subtle way of demonstrating the nun's ability to chant something entirely unintelligible to the average lay audience participant. It is important for establishing the nun's status in the community. Could we please have the video?
の水のこの海客様の水の上人様のお師匠様であるところの観光様である。観光の見ると観光様の神様。この観光様という方が水の上人様のお師匠様。ここを開いた方のお師匠様。この観光様が立派な方ですね。終わりがスタート。味噌のというお寺の現在でございます。そこの法政さん、その観光様が、京都の、トマトの高山寺、アナウンサーもお答えようかな公式というものが、如来上人の手によって作られてあるということを知って、はるばるとトマノへの高山寺へ来て、その時のご住職である英雄上人にお願いをして、この600年、700年前の古本を、古い古本を、公式を拝借して、写させていただいて、で、それに、その時の名古屋の万象寺のご住職である